So let's also talk about, being it's December, it's also a new TE Maker Challenge, and a lot of you follow along with this in the Fans of Tailored Expressions Facebook page. We put challenges out every month, and we encourage you to create projects using those challenges and sharing them, and use the hashtag TE Maker Challenge. And there's always a, if you look in the featured post, there's always the monthly challenge posted up there. We kind of alternate between techniques and different things like maybe card sizes and stuff, and also color combination. And this month is a color combination. This one is definitely an out-of-the-box color combination for me. These aren't colors that I would normally put together, but the colors are, and I'm going to pop a graphic up so you can see it. But the color combination for this month would be Huckleberry, which is kind of a dark purple, and Guava, which is kind of a corally pink color, with any other color or colors of your choice. So you would create projects using this color combination, and you can, I think, post up to 3, and then we draw for 4 $25 store credits from the projects that are submitted. So you have all month to create. I love the TE Maker Challenge because I love to see what all of you are coming up with. There is one card, and I cannot remember who made it, but it's with the Wreathed in Joy kit, and she did the color combination, the Guava Huckleberry, with that set. It's beautiful, and it would never have been one that I would have maybe picked that set for, and it's beautiful, and it just makes you get inspired to play with those colors yourself or put different things together. So make sure you check it out. I'm always inspired. Susan said my color sweater is pretty close to Huckleberry. It sure is. I might have done that on purpose. So we're going to create, with that color combination, we're going to create a card that if you checked out my blog earlier this week, you saw. Let me show you a picture of it, and I think Taylor may have had it during the live on Tuesday. And this is using the new Snarky Snow Insiders panels and my Snow Much Fun set that was released, it was late October when that was released, kind of where you can make tags, but you can also use the snowman on cards. So we're going to take that card that I created, and the colors on that one are confetti cake and blue cheese that I used for the hat and the scarf. And then confetti cake in the background, but I am going to use the colors for the TE Maker Challenge, the Guava and the Huckleberry. So I'm going to flip you down to my desk, and I'm going to show you how I created this card, and we're going to talk about funny winter stuff, and it'll be a good time. So here we go. So I used a different panel on this card. The only thing I'm building in the snow is a deep resentment for winter. And I know, like I said, I love winter, so these aren't necessarily things for me. But I do have to say that there are moments that winter just, I don't know, it kicks you in the butt, right? It kicks you in the pants. And you definitely have feelings like this. When I created the Snow Much Fun set, Taylor specifically requested an angry snowman. And I know that, like, when we released it, we didn't have any really snarky sentiments there, but I'm sure many of you are like, an angry snowman, what are you going to do with that? You're going to use them with the snarky snow stuff. That's exactly what we designed the little angry face for. It's perfect on these cards that are kind of poking fun at winter. So I have my panel. I thought I would use the panel I did before, but look, I got guava ink on it. But it's going to be covered up by the snowman, so we're going to just go ahead and use that card. And we're going to make it work. So I'll just show you the other ones in this collection. So I showed you the winter resentment one. There's the whoever said snow is magical, clearly never had to shovel the driveway. Truth, truth, truth. Winter is nature's way of saying, hey, remember how much you love summer. I know that Taylor especially, this is probably one of her favorite sentiments because summer is her favorite. And winter, the season where let's stay in touch turns into let's stay inside. I miss you. And this is so true. There are people I know that live in this area that, you know, they don't go out in the winter. They basically stay in just because that's just what they do in winter. And you don't see them until it's warm again. And that's okay. You can definitely hibernate for the winter. There's nothing wrong with that. There are days that I like doing that too. So if you didn't know, all of our Insiders panels are printed with the toner ink that is, you can foil with this. So we're going to do that first. I've got my mini mink all ready to go and heated up. I did mine to a 4 today. I sometimes can do a 3, but 4 was feeling better to me for this. And I've got my Foil Magic shim and carrier sheet here and my silver fun foil. I need to get a tube of this. I only had the scraps left. So you'll have to excuse my packaging. We don't always get everything in the packages when we're doing design team stuff. So that's just what it is. You guys get the pretty packages. So I'm gonna cut the piece of that foil to fit over my sentiment. And then I'm gonna set that right into my carrier sheet, right on top of that Foil Magic shim. Make sure it's covering it. You want the pretty side up when you're foiling with the toner method. Then we're just gonna pop that right into the mini make and send it through. All right. It's always like, send it in and then wait a minute. It takes just a little bit to get through there. The Foil Magic shim is awesome. It distributes that heat and helps you get a more perfect foil every time. All right, I'm gonna pop that out and just give it just a second. Whoop! Give it just a second to cool off. And then let's peel that foil off. And there I have my foiled sentiment. Foiled, this is just the silver. And obviously there are so many choices of foils that you can choose from to foil your panels with. So that's right, you can leave these black for the inside of the card. You can use these. So this time on this card, I was kind of laughing. I didn't use it as an insider. I'm using it as an outsider this time. All right, I'm gonna set my mink aside. Actually, I'm gonna unplug that so it starts to cool down. So we have this all set, and I'm just gonna set this aside and let's get our snowmen. Well, let's cut those out. So I'm gonna grab my die cut machine. And my So Much Fun die. It's a die and clear sets that you get. So if you haven't gotten this one, this is what it looks like. My pieces are a little bit crazy on here. But you get a die set that's got the snowman. There's a couple different hats that you can put on him, a little nose, and then you get a set of clear stamps that has the different faces. There's the happy, the either surprised or singing face, the angry face. These are cheeks for the snowman, and then a couple of snow sentiments that you can use. We're not going to use those sentiments. We're going to use the ones on our insider's card. So let's cut out and create a couple of snowman. So I'm going to cut the body out. This little circle thing is if you wanted to make it into a shaker. I have a video on that, but we are just going to do the snowman in one piece today. We're going to cut out two for our card. So I need to cut out two bodies. And then we're going to cut out the hats using the colors from the TE Maker Challenge. I think this one is a really easy way to put those colors together, is just using the two colors of cardstock for a hat and scarf. So I have two bodies, and then I need, let's set those right up here. I have my huckleberry. So I'm going to cut out the little snow hat. So there's a snow hat kind of base piece, a pom-pom, and then the hat brim. Then I'm also going to cut out a scarf. So I'm going to cut this out of the huckleberry, and I'm going to cut it out of the guava, and then we're going to mix and match the pieces together. And I always say, if you're going to make a bunch of these, then keep die cutting until you have all the pieces you need for all of the projects you need. Let's set these up here. And then let's cut this out of guava. The hat. I am such a snowman fan. When I'm looking at things to like decorate for the holidays, I am a sucker for snowman things or craft projects. I love all of the snowman all of the time. When Taylor's like, "Can you do a snowman?" I'm like, "I sure can." So that was really fun. All right. And I also need some noses for the snowman. There's a die cut for that, the little carrot nose. And I should have a piece of, yep, this is the sweet potato pie. You could use candy corn as well, or really whatever orange you wanted for the nose. Sweet potato pie is nice. It's just a little bit darker. I like the tone. I like the color, this orange color. It's not so, I don't know. Orange is not one of my top favorite colors, so I like things when they're a little bit more rustic and subdued, and I think sweet potato pie does that for me, for sure. Right, so we've got snowman noses. And I think for right now, I'm gonna set my die cut machine aside. We're gonna do some cutting a little bit later when we get our background on our panel put together. But let's do our snowman here. I've got my mini Misty with my foam insert because these are clear stamps. And actually, let's do blending first. You guys I'm a little scattered here, so thank you for being patient with me. Let's do blending first and then we'll stamp. So we're gonna just add a touch of blending. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I like how that touch of blending just adds a little bit more depth and character to your die cut pieces. So we're gonna start with confetti cake. And I'm just gonna add a little touch of confetti cake to one side of the snowman. I always think when you add just a touch of blue to a snowman, it just makes him look chilly, makes him look just a little cold. And I want this to be light, which confetti cake is light, but I'm just gonna kind of come from that edge and come in. I don't wanna get them too blue. I feel like the one I did on this card, maybe I did a little bit much. It's not too bad, but I just want that touch of blue. And really anything on the bottom of the snowman is gonna get cut off. So I'm not worrying too much about that, just a little bit about that, but not too much about that. So that looks pretty good. Just a little bit of chili over there. And then let's get a little bit of chili on this one. The other thing about confetti cake too, this one tends to me to lighten up a little bit as it dries as well. So it looks maybe a little splotchy right now. And that's true with most of our blending stuff. If it first looks just a little bit much, and then it's gonna calm down as it dries. We're gonna do a little bit of shading on the hat pieces. So I've got I'm just using the same color of ink as this cardstock just to add a touch of shading, and I'm going to use my detail blender brushes because these are tiny little pieces. I just want a touch of shading. So I'm going to do kind of both sides of the hat, brim and on the hat. You could use a bitty blender brush for this too, but I really like how these detail ones added just the right amount of shading that I wanted. I don't need to worry about the pom-pom or the brim. Those are gonna get covered up. The pom-pom is tiny, but I'm gonna just go right around the edges of that little pom-pom. Yes, Susan is talking about saltwater taffy for shading snowman. That also is a great chili blue for snowman shading. I just decided to go with confetti cake this time. The scarf, I'm just going to add a touch of color on each side again and kind of down the sides of that part there. So we're just adding just a tiny touch of shading. And then on the huckleberry ones, we're going to use the huckleberry ink to add the shading to that purple color. I'm going to grab just a paper towel here and wipe up this. Not that it's going to bother the huckleberry ink, but I don't want to get it all over my hands. Huckleberry is a pretty intense color. Again, I'm just adding a touch to the edges here. a hat to the sides of that brim. And to the pom-pom. And again, it might seem really subtle, but it really does add a difference to your pieces. They don't look so flat. And the scarf. I can almost use some of this ink that's right there. Okay, and I'm not going to shade on the carrot noses. You can. They're tiny, so that is going to be so subtle to do that. Let's do that. Now let's stamp the faces on the snowman. I'm using the Nocturne VersaFine Clair to stamp the faces, so that's why I went and did the shading first. Because if that ink just stays wet a little bit longer, then it just stays wet a little bit longer, quite honestly. And if I'm blending, I don't want to blend into those stamped eyes and then I'll have a black smudged face. So that's why I did the blending first. And I caught myself, otherwise I would have been like, oh, that's not going to work. Okay, so let's slide this stuff aside. We'll grab our mini Misty again. Again, I have that foam insert in there because we are using clear stamps. I'm just gonna, if you're doing a bunch of snowman, setting up a template might be a good idea, but we're just doing a couple, so I'm just going to do each one separate. So this is kind of the surprised or singing face. And I've got that VersaFine, Nocturne VersaFine Clair to stamp that face on there. You don't need a whole lot of pressure or anything because that ink doesn't take much. Whoop. I'm grabbing the cheeks. We're just going to put those right there. And I'm stamping the cheeks. Oh, we moved just a little bit, so let me make sure that's still good. There we go. I'm using pink champagne ink. Debbie is asking how I got a teal ink stand. Yeah, it was available for sale. I want to say, was it Virtual Stamped Joy Spring? It may not have been last year. It may have been the year before. But yeah, we offered them in teal for, I want to say it was one of the virtual events. I have a white one too. I just grabbed whichever one I grabbed out of my drawer, quite honestly. So there is the eyes and cheeks, and we're going to stick that noise on there in just a second, but let's go ahead and do the angry face. So there's that angry face. I'll stamp that with the Nocturne VersaFine Clair as well. Just a little bit more over there. Okay, and then let's add the pink cheeks. Oh, Christine knows it was in 2022 that we had the teal ink stands. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was spring virtual. So another reason to sign up for those events. You never know what kinds of things we're going to have. And they're only available for a certain amount of time. All right, there's the pink cheeks on my angry snowman. Let's put the pieces together. We are going to add a few splatters just to the snowman. When we get to the background of the card, I'm just going to show you, is really busy. We're going to do a lot there. So I didn't feel like it needed extra splatters, but I liked adding them just to the snowman, just to add that extra texture to it. And again, you don't have to splatter. That's just something I really love to do. Okay, I left my tape runner upstairs. So let me see if I've got another one in here. Got a box full of tape runner stuff. I was using my tape runner in a journal upstairs to glue something into it, and it is sitting on my coffee table next to where I sit on the couch. So there we go. You know I have backups, right? All right, so I'm just going to use that to stick the little nose on there. And then we're going to put our little hats together. So one hat is going to be the huckleberry, one hat's going to be the guava, and then I'm going to use the opposite color. You could use all the same color, but I'm going to use the opposite colors to add the pom-poms and the brims onto the hat. And that's what I did with the other one too. I just chose two colors of cardstock and popped them together. And the base, it fits the brim and the pom-pom right on there, so you don't have to kind of guess or glue a little edge or anything like that. It just fits right on there. You just match those little scallops up for the pom-pom. And there is your little hat. And you can either choose the same scarf, or you can choose, I think this one I matched the scarf to that, but I think on my other one I matched it to the brim. So I'm going to switch this time and I'm going to match it to the brims this time, just for something different. All right, put this little hat together. There's the little brim. And of course you can use liquid glue. Whatever adhesive works best for you, that's what you need to pick to use. There's my little hat, and let's stick that right onto the snowman. I feel like the brim slid up just a little bit. I like this color combination of the huckleberry and guava together. It is really fun. And sometimes we do these color combinations, and then like next time you go out shopping, I'm like, oh, I see that color combination. Isn't that funny how that happens, where something new, this always happens to me, something new gets kind of brought up and then you hear it or see it like everywhere. So look how cute with his little scarf on. And again, we're going to add this hat to the crabby snowman, angry crabby snowman, and his little scarf. Here we go. We got my angry snowman surprise. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of splatters to these guys. I'm going to move my other stuff out of the way. But I don't want to get too many splatters like right in his eyes. So I've got some, this is just a Post-it note, and these are Post-it notes. I don't know where I got them, but they're sticky like the whole sheet, which is kind of nice. A masking paper or something would work pretty well for this. So I'm just going to kind of cover this part of his eyes and face, because I don't want, knowing me, I would get a splatter right in the middle. So I definitely mask things off that I don't want splatters. So their faces are covered, and we are going to do splattering. My go-to splattering things are chocolate truffle liquid watercolor and Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white ink. So there's the watercolor. I've got watercolor on this block already, so I'm just going to use my water brush to reactivate that brown liquid watercolor, the chocolate truffle. I tap this over my finger. I got some big blotches on the bottom, but this snowman, I'm not going to worry too much about that, because again, we are going to cut that bottom part off, so I'm not too worried. If this was something that bothered you on a regular card, put a snowflake there or something like that. So splattering is very unpredictable, so sometimes stuff like that happens, and it's okay. Like I said, in this circumstance, that big splatter is going to get cut off. So I'm just cleaning my brush off on a paper towel. Then I'm going to grab my Dr. Peach Martin's Bleed Proof White ink. I usually pick that up, and I'm usually kind of working on my brush right in the lid there. You can use an acrylic block as well. And again, I'm just going to tap my finger to add the splatters to my snowman. It's like sometimes you want to splatter in a certain spot and it's just not going to do it. So I was hoping for one right in there. Nobody's going to care but me, but Susan's asking who picks the colors for the monthly challenge. I actually don't know because I'm not a part of that. We have, you know, many people who have many meetings about all of the fun things we do all the time. And so I'm not really sure who picks all of that. Maybe it's Charlie. I don't know if she's the one who gets to pick all that or not. I'll ask someday. I'll remember to ask. Okay, so we're going to get these little masks off of the face so that there, I don't have like splatters right on his eye or anything like that. And there's our two splattered snowman. I guess you could say this is when the snowplow comes by and like kicks up all the dirty snow. That's not my favorite snow, the ugly dirty snow. All right, just gonna wipe this off. Now let's move to the background panel to finish this look. I am going to add shading around the edges of the panel again with the confetti cake ink. So I'm literally just going to blend around the outside. Just to add some of that blue color into the background. We're going to make a whole snow flurry on this background. So I'm starting off with laying down some of this color first, like I said, all the way around. So I guess you could say I'm combining confetti cake ink with my two colors. That would be my color combination in total. I mean, you can use really just the two colors. There's no rule saying you have to add another color. We're ignoring my guava splotch right there because, like I said, we're going to cover that up with a snowman. It's all about cutting things off and covering things up today. Okay, and again, when things look a little bit splotchy and smoochy when you're blending, just give it a minute. Come back to it in a minute. It's going to smooth out and blend it really nicely together. So that's our first layer of our snow flurry background. I think this would be a great background just in general if you're doing some sort of wintry card. Next, we're going to add some stamped snowflakes using the dotted snowfall background. So that is this one right here. This was released the same time as the sweater kit that came out, and this has been available in the store. This is a great wintry background. I have had so much fun with this one. It's a good winter basic. So I'm going to take that foam insert out since I'm using a red rubber stamp now. Make sure I put it somewhere where I'm not going to lose it. Add a little bit of adhesive there. I probably could have done that after I put my stamp in. I love the Mini Misty for stamping backgrounds. It is perfect. So I'm setting my panel right on my stamp so that I know exactly that it's going to cover the whole thing. I have adhesive on there, so I picked that up when I closed that. And we're going to stamp this snow background with the confetti cake ink that I just blended with. A lot of you say that you like that background stamp as well. Well, that's awesome because it's one I also designed. So I love that you love it. I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm going to do 2 impressions with that. using my Just Press tool to get a good impression. So there's step 2 of our winter flurry background. We've got those little mini snowflakes and dots going on in that background. And the next one, now I'm kind of laughing because this die set I have used so many times this year, and I know that a lot of you have seen me use it on the lives so many times this year. This is the Make of Snowflake die collection. So I'm using a couple of the large size snowflakes and a couple of the small snowflakes. And I have a bunch cut out already, so I'm just going to run this through the one time to cut those out. We're really on the home stretch of this project, but the snowmen are still available, Kelly. This was a release. The snowmen were released in October, and they should be, unless they're sold out. I don't think they're sold out, but they should be in the Tailored Expressions web store. All right, so I'm cutting out a few snowflakes, and I'm just going to use my little piercing tools to get those little bits out of there. I'm going to pop those into my little dish so that I have them all in one place. All right, let me pop those back on that magnetic sheet, otherwise I will lose my snowflakes and that would be horrible. Okay, I'm just gonna pop my die cut machine off to the side and we're gonna grab that background and we are going to adhere the snowflakes all around the sides of the snowman. We're gonna put the snowman on very last, but they're gonna sit about here and here on the card. So let me think here. Let me put this one up here. Trying to like space out the snowflakes so that I have kind of a good variety of them scattered around the card. Move that one down there. I think I'll put some in here, but I'm gonna get these adhered down and kind of get the snowman into place. So this time I am gonna use liquid adhesive to get these stuck down. And I'm using multimedia matte for my glue. I'm just dotting the glue around the snowflake. And I am going to put them so that they kind of go off the edge of the card. And we're just going to trim those extra pieces off when we are ready. Grab my magnets to hold those in place. And again, just dotting that glue on there. You could cut these out with sticky sheets so you had the double-sided adhesive on them already. That's another option if you don't like to sit and glue with the liquid glue. You could use a tape runner on these as well. The dotted pieces do kind of come off pretty easily. But when I get into doing this kind of thing, liquid adhesive just seems to be the go-to for me. This is better than, so last week we had a power outage and it was out for about a half an hour and it knocked out our modem. So we actually had to go and get a new modem and end up having, you know, they had to come out and make sure everything was all hooked up and everything. So that was an adventure to get that all reset up again. But that is what it is. There's nothing you can do. Okay, so we're going to talk about this sentiment here, where it's whoever said snow is magical clearly never had to shovel the driveway, and I have a little bit of a funny story about that. It was a little bit, it was in the winter, but it was definitely a little bit warmer, and we had had a couple inches of snow, and I went out and I shoveled the driveway, and it took me a little bit. I mean, it wasn't awful, but it definitely took me a little bit. So that our driveway was clear. And of course it was sunny enough so the snow melted off the driveway and the driveway was nice and clear by the time my husband got home. And he comes in and he goes, I am so excited. The sun was out, and so now the snow it just melted like it was an automatic driveway, and I don't have to shovel it. And I just looked at him and I said, I shoveled it. He's like, it didn't just automatically melt? I said, no, I shoveled it. And so I was so upset because I had taken the time to shovel it, and he was just insisting that the sun had melted all the snow. But there was enough snow that it wasn't going to melt on its own. I definitely knew I had to do some shoveling, but he just insisted that the weather took care of the snow when I took care of the snow, and it's still something he brings up when it's sunny. He goes, I wonder if I have an automagic driveway. So I always remind him, it's not automagic, which that isn't even a word, but we say it all the time. I shoveled the driveway. And I have lots of experience with that snowblower, and you know, if you live in a place where it snows a lot like here and you shovel the driveway, but then the snowplow comes by and it fills up the end of your driveway with the biggest, heaviest snow chunks ever. And I knew a shovel was not going to be enough, and so I had to do the snowblower to get that driveway end clear. And there was so much snow, I had to hip check the snowblower to get my driveway cleared out for me, and melted the whole side of my winter coat because I had hit, there's always a place on those snowblowers that's like hot, do not touch. But in trying to maneuver this big snowblower around at the end of my driveway, I hit the hot spot and melted my coat. And I was so upset because winter coats are not always the cheapest thing. I did patch it and I wore it because that's just what you do, but it was very traumatizing. Sue, you said, I moved to Texas. No more shoveling for me. We actually got a new snowblower last year, which is, we joke, we didn't get a lot of snow last year in Minnesota, and we all said, well, that's because we bought a snowblower. So if you spend the money on a snowblower, it doesn't snow. I mean, I know that's not totally true, but you know what I mean. All right, I'm going to set these little guys in here, and this guy's going to go about here. Remember, we've got that pink spot there I want to cover up. And let's get this angry guy on here. So that is one thing to think about with the panels, is some of them work a little bit better depending on the space that's left of which ones are going to work good to have to use kind of with the snowman or other things on your card. So this one has a nice big spot on the bottom that worked to add the snowman down there. I actually think that that's pretty good for snowflakes. I have a little tiny bit of space down here, but that's actually not too bad. All right, so right now I have a panel with a whole bunch of stuff sticking out from the sides of it. And we're gonna trim those bottoms of the snowman off, even with the bottom of that card. And there's a couple little side pieces here. We'll just snip. So that evens them up with the bottom of the card. And then we're gonna cut those snowflake pieces even with the edge of the card as well. There's a really funky skinny piece right there that we're just gonna cut off. There we go. And one more little edge right up here. That evens everything up with the side of the panel, and we have a almost complete snow flurry background. We are not quite done. We have one more thing we're gonna do to that. But let's add this to a card base first, and then we'll do the last little bit of that background. Get my little garbage pieces here out of the way. And we're doing a toffee card base. Surprise! Grab my own folder quick here. Get that crease at the top. And I need I'm going to adhere this down with the 1x3 foam strips. So it's just popped up. This is the thin foam strips. Popped up just a tiny bit from that card base. The panels are already trimmed down to, there's going to be a little bit of a border on your card. So it's not a full A2 size, but it is sized to work on an A2 panel. So it's 4 inches by 5 1/4, so that's going to give you just that little bit of border around the edges. So when you're putting these inside your card, they're just framed up just perfectly. And we're just going to eyeball this in place. These 1x3 strips stick really, really good, so once they're down, they're down. There's not a whole lot of correction here. I have a tiny little piece of something here that I'm going to grab with my scissors. Nope, I didn't quite get it. Sort of got it. I should have my little trimmers out. All right, so the last thing I'm going to add is we're going to scatter a few of this is the Bits and Pieces Shiny White Rhinestones. And we're going to scatter a few of those kind of throughout the background. There are 2 sizes of rhinestones in here. I love the sizes. They're just perfect. And I'm just going to add these kind of in between the spaces of the snowflakes and the snowman. Just to add, it's going to add that extra texture. It's adding a little bit of sparkle and shine. Probably a little more shine than sparkle, but you know what I mean. Maybe we'll do the big one out here and the little one here. Kind of trying to alternate the big and the small in there. So I usually lay these all out first, and then I'll go back and glue them down. I don't commit until I'm ready. I don't know if I need one there. Maybe here? No. How about here? That feels better. So just kind of add a scattering of those little rhinestones right in there, and then I'm going to grab my pick and place tool and my liquid adhesive. This is the Embelly Jelly pick and place tool. We're just going to add dots of the liquid adhesive, and we're going to adhere those little rhinestones to that background. Gotta be quiet so I can concentrate on my rhinestones. Did I get all of them? Nope. My final test is when I pick up my card, right? And see if any, oh, one did fall off right down here. So I'm gonna put a dot of glue there because it was right about there. Here we go. I think I got all of them on there. All right, so here is a final look at that card. And again, whoever said the snow is magical clearly never had to shovel the driveway. So funny, so cute. Where's my other card? Here it is. Here's that other fun winter card. So these are really fun, and you know you have the right people to send these cards to, right? Definitely. All right, let me pop you up to the top one more time. Whoop. There we go. Thank you guys so much for joining me today to create some fun wintry snarky cards with the Insider's Snarky Snow panels and the Snow Much Fun Die and Clear set. I hope you had a great time watching me create today, and I hope you were inspired, and I hope to see your project with the TE Maker Challenge. You can copy the card that I created today, and that totally counts. I don't know if you knew that, but that's true. So you can copy it if you don't want to get too, think too hard or come up with your own idea. You can definitely copy my card. or create your own, whatever you want to do. So thank you so much. Thank you for your patience when my power went out and finding me again for the second half of this project. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to join Taylor tomorrow to watch her open the Advent calendar box and see what she creates with the things that were in the box for this week. So thank you guys so much. We will see you next time. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a